What is up, Baggies fans, football fans, and sports fans, and welcome to another transfer video. And it feels like over the next couple of days there's going to be a lot of these for the Albion. With Bielik leaving last night for some good money, 2.5 million to Cardiff. We've brought in Kareem Tunde from Levante. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a rundown. I don't know too much about him, but I've just wrote a little bit together so you can kind of get an understanding of what sort of player he is, what your thoughts on him. He officially joined today, obviously permanently on a 4-year deal from Levante. And I do think it is a bit of an interesting signing because I'll be completely upfront with you guys from the start of the video. I'm not going to sit here and obsess over the statistics through this one. I'm not going to look at his goals and assists and see what they are and what they're not. Because okay, yes, they're not particularly eye-catching at senior level, and immediately you can't just decide off whether he's a good player or a bad player based on that. But I think sometimes, especially when a player's only just turned 21, you have to look a little bit deeper. What sort of player is he? Where's he come from? What do people actually want, from him? And what have Levante said about him and what he brings to the table? So, you know, let's see what he could do. And obviously, what sort of player would he be under Morrison? And the more you look into the player himself, ignoring the stats, I think he will suit Morrison really, really well. So in today's video, we're going to go right back way through his career, from his academy days in Barcelona, through Espanyol and Barcelona's famous La Masia academy, his development at Levante, his breakthrough into La Liga, and now, of course, he's moved to Bromwich Albion. And then we'll talk about where I think he fits into this Albion side. Before we get into it, if you've already enjoyed the Albion content, make sure you leave a like, subscribe if you are new around here, hit that bell notification to be updated whenever the channel goes live with matchday watch-alongs, new videos. It's getting into silly season now. Games are going to be coming thick and fast, so make sure you subscribe. And let me know down in the comments what you make of this signing. Kareem Tunde, welcome to West Bromwich Albion. So who is he? So let's start off with the basics. He was born in Barcelona on the 19th of August 2005, so he's literally only just turned 21. He's predominantly a right winger, although he can operate from the opposite side as he's left-footed. But he also plays right back as well, which could be interesting cover. When you look at his footballing education, this isn't somebody who suddenly appeared out of nowhere at the age of 21. He's actually been through some very good academies in Spain. He started in the youth system at St Andrew before moving to Espanyol. And apparently he really made a name for himself during his time at Espanyol. Spanish reports have previously described him as a standout player in their age group, and it eventually attracted the attention of the massive rivals across Barcelona. Because in 2017, when Tunde was around 11 or 12 years old, Barcelona came in and took him to La Masia. And obviously, when you hear a player that spent time in that academy, your ears are going to prick up straight away. And I'm not going to sit here and do the usual thing where someone's played in Barcelona's academy and suddenly we're comparing him to Messi. It doesn't work like that. Thousands of talented young players go through these academies. But what it does tell you is technically there was something there from a very young age that Barcelona were interested in. They saw him in Espanyol to bring him across. He spent 3 years at the academy between 2017 and 2020. And I think his time there was quite relevant when we start talking about what sort of player he is today. Because reports in Spain describe him as someone who's developed within that positional football environment, but still retain that directness. Somebody who wants to get at a defender rather than simply keep possession for possession's sake. But around 14 and 15, he left Barcelona to join CF Dam, another club with a real strong reputation for developing young players in Catalonia. Spent 2 years there before in 2022 making the move, which really shaped his career, to Levante. He joined Levante ahead of the 22-23 season and initially went into their juvenile A youth side. And it was, really during that second season there where things started to take off for him. The Levante youth side had a brilliant campaign. They won the division, the Honour League title, reached the quarterfinals of the Copa del Rey juvenile, and also competed in the Copa de Campos. Tunde became one of the key players in that team. Now, I know I've just spent the opening part of this video saying I'm not going to obsess over statistics, and I'm not. But one number from his youth career, which is worth mentioning, he scored 15 goals from the wing during that campaign. Not because I expected he suddenly to arrive in the championship and score that amount of goals, but because he knows where the goal is. That attacking output is there in his development game. Hasn't always been a winger who struggles to produce something in the final third. And reports this season are really interesting when you look at the way they describe him. Playing predominantly on the right, coming inside, using his physicality against fullbacks, carrying the ball, tackling players and making runs into space. Now, that tackling one is really, really important because it looks like Morrison wants his midfielders to, run and run and run. And we almost hunt in packs when we lose the ball. There's 2 or 3 players closing it down. And if he's got the energy, the pace, and wants to willingly track back and tackle the ball, then you've got yourself a great player on your hands. I talked about his dribbling ability, his speed, willingness to take on defenders going forward. sounds much more interesting to me than simply just looking at his senior goals column. The performance earned him a new contract and also earned him an opportunity with Levante, their reserve side, Atletico Levante, sorry. He made the reserve debut in 2024 against CD Sonia, but over the following period established himself properly at that level. And this is where you start to remember how quickly his career has developed. We're talking somebody who was not too long ago playing youth football, then reserve football, and by the end of 2025, he's playing in La Liga. One of the biggest leagues outside the Premier League, I'd say. On the 20th of December 2025, Kareem Tunde made his first team debut for Levante against Real Sociedad. Came off the bench in a 1-1 draw. And just a couple of weeks later, he came on with a massive moment for him. His first La Liga start away at Sevilla. And Levante won that game 3-0. Started the match, played 64 minutes. Imagine that, you're 20 years old, you've just made the enormous jump through all those levels. You're making your first start in La Liga away at Sevilla, and your team walks away with a 3-0 victory. And from there, it wasn't just, a case of giving the youngster one game and sending him back to reserves. He started to earn the trust of his manager and become a genuine member of the first team squad. Albion themselves say he went to play on 22 appearances in that top flight campaign during the 25-26 campaign, playing his part in Levante turned their form around and secured survival. Done enough that in March, they tied him down to a new deal, tying him to 2029. I think the wording Levante used themselves in announcing the contract tells us quite a lot. They specifically mentioned the performance consistency and capacity for work, things that have caught the attention of first team coaches. So let's forget the stats. What sort of player are we getting? As I said at the start, I'm not ignoring the headline statistics here, because you look at some of the players we signed, and the statistics haven't screamed and shouted, fantastic player. They've developed into a really good player. Look, when we signed Price, yes, the statistics weren't the best, but look at the player he's become under Morrison. And I genuinely believe this could be another one of those sort of signings for Morrison where he develops into into a really, really good player. We signed him for pennies, really, when you think about it. 2.5 million with some add-ons. If he becomes as good as he could potentially be, you could be talking 20, 30 million for a sort of player. Really interested in what people have said about him who have watched him. And one thing that keeps coming up is that idea of being a hard-working player. That's massive for me. You've got people familiar with him at Levante talking about his work rate, his willingness to help the team, and his energy. Spanish coverage highlighting his ability and work rate. Trying to be collective as a unit. What has Morrison really been speaking about? We're a unit, we're one team going forward. This player seems like he's going to slot straight in to Morrison's style. They praised him for his capacity for work. And even Tunde, when talking about his own breakthrough, basically said that that's what his mentality is. After getting his opportunity in the first team, he spoke about the amount of hard work that had gone in to get in there, the setbacks he'd experienced, and the sacrifices he and his family have had to make. And in another interview, talking about making that jump through the levels, his message was effectively be brave, be yourself, and work hard. And above everything else, work for the team. And it immediately gets my attention. As I've said, because Morrison's been preaching hard work, togetherness, fighting for each other, playing on the front foot. Morrison's literally said those are the principles of an Albion team he wants to build. So stylistically, you can already see why Tunde appealed to him. Now, obviously, hard work isn't enough on its own. You need quality. And he definitely looks like the quality could be exciting in the Championship. He's left-footed, quick, direct, likes taking players on. He's comfortable playing wide attacking, full-back 1v1. He wants to make runs in behind. He's got that explosiveness. Where if you can isolate him against a defender, he wants to attack. And interestingly, when Tunde has spoken about his own game, he's talked about liking to stay wide because he feels he can hurt teams, using his runs in behind, his power, his ability of 1v1 situations. And I wouldn't be surprised if Morrison tries him as a striker, somebody that can get him behind a player on the run. And that would be interesting to see. You're not buying someone who's 27 who should be theoretically at his peak. We're buying potential. And that is, the way that we're going under Patel, buying these young players and developing them. And it could really, really work out for us. So can Morrison and his coaching staff improve that final ball? Can they make him more clinical? Can they get more goals out of him? I really, really think it is. Yes, it's a gamble, but I think it's a quite exciting gamble. And he suits Morrison because Morrison isn't building a team full of passengers. If you don't work, you're going to struggle in this team. He's spoken about it repeatedly, doing the dirty work. He's spoken about that fight, the desire. He's spoken about doing the basics properly. You saw it in the Newcastle game in the vlog earlier today. Those players were running for each other. They did not stop running for each other. Do the basics. Be courageous on the ball. Attack. Perfect player. He's made it very clear that he wants his Albion supporters to be proud of what they watch, and we are. And Tunde ticks a lot of those boxes. He's got energy, he works without the ball, prepared to track, prepared to compete. When you give him the ball, he wants to go forward, he wants to attack somebody. I think that's important because the difference between being a hard-working defensive winger and being somebody who works hard but also wants to hurt the opposition. Hopefully Sunday can be the latter in that one. Nobody should be guaranteed a place. You want players pushing every single week, and bringing him into the squad is only going to push the midfielders even more on. And that brings us to the day. The deal is officially done. He's signed on a 4-year deal from Levante. He arrived in England on Wednesday and actually travelled up to Newcastle to watch his new teammates in the Carabao Cup. So after watching that mental 3-2 game at St James's Park, he's now officially an Albion player. And I like what the signing said afterwards. He talked about how excited he used to join a big club, experience football in a different country, and help get the team goals and assists. Again, that's what we need to develop him from. Work rate seems to be there. The raw attributes seem to be there. Just got to help him turn those numbers now. And this is an important bit. For me, I don't think this is the window finished. Absolutely not. Happy that we've got another one through the door, and I'm excited what the lad can do. But for me, we still need another 4 players: a striker, centre mid, centre back, and probably another winger, maybe. We started the season positively under Morrison. The players are working, the fans are happy. We've just got to back him now. It's a championship. It's relentless. Injuries can happen. Suspensions can happen. We saw last night Alex Williams. He could be cover right back for me, and I'd be quite happy if that was the case. If we want to be competitive in this league, we're going to need depth. So Tunde, great signing, young, exciting, bit of a gamble, potentially a real high ceiling, but don't stop there. On another 4 through that door, you start thinking, how far can this team go? Overall, I think it's a great signing for us. Don't judge him after 1 or 2 games. Let's see how he does over the season. Moving to a new country, new language, brand new division, completely different style of football. But the raw ingredients are really interesting. La Masia education, experience with Espanyol, brilliant youth campaign, rapid rise through the reserves, La Liga experience at 20, quick, left-footed, direct, likes taking defenders on, and perhaps most importantly for Morrison, he works. Let's hope that they can turn that attacking output into something that can develop into numbers. The mentality has been there from day one, and everything I've read about him suggests that it is. So I'm really, really intrigued by this signing. He's officially a Baggie. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, guys. Are you happy with this one? Where does he fit into Morrison's system? And perhaps more importantly, what 4 positions do you think Albion still need to strengthen before the window shuts? Get your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Welcome to the Albion, Kareem Tunde. Come on, you Baggies.